Hello and welcome back. TCR UK 2023, Snetterton, myself, Paul O'Neill, Anthony Jordan with me, with your little black book.
Oh yeah, I got my notes.
Lovely, mate, lovely.
Yeah, I'm good.
Very professional.
Thank you.
We talk about professional.
Yeah.
The racing has been very professional. I was really impressed with what went on.
Yeah, I think they really put on a good show, didn't they? You can say it was a breakaway for the two Hyundais at the front, but, you know, it's we've got a reverse grid for race 2, so that will change, so that's going to be a nice shake-up. But yeah, race 1, brilliant, and I think a nice show of what we're going to see in race 2 as well. Yeah,
and let's start with the people at the front.
Yeah.
You know, great for Area Motorsport. It was a shame, actually, they didn't have a 1-2-3 with Adam Shepherd. He dropped away, we'll talk about that in a minute. But the winner, Bruce Winfield, losing his father so close, you know, to the season starting, and to win that race and to have your teammate back you up in the new Hyundai behind him was pretty amazing, and it was great to see. It was one of the most difficult interviews I think I've ever had to do. It was pretty special. Bruce, what a drive though.
Yeah, I mean, amazing drive, well deserved as well, and like you say, you know, a great way to start the season for him. And I think the first weekend, like you say, without his dad, and you know, I feel like that's going to be a huge boost for everyone in the team and himself most definitely as well.
Yeah, Josh Files in that new Elantra, he couldn't really get quite close enough, could he, to stick one on him, to be fair, but I don't think he wanted to risk it either.
Yeah, no, I can understand why, but yeah, I think that the car, I reckon, did have the pace, but yeah, it was just on that knife edge, I think, of adhesion throughout the race. So, you know, watching him, he closed the gap, he worked hard on it, but yeah, again, I just think, yeah, was it worth the risk going for it? It's the start of the season. You don't want to be knocking teammates off. Or
yeah, and also, you know, I think one of the most happy people, I think, on the podium, probably except for Bruce, was Chris Smiley in the new Honda, because he's done hardly any laps in that car, so it was pretty special, that.
You know, that I think is a great achievement. You know, like you're saying, the cars here, I think they're more searching for points more than anything, because they didn't think they were going to be competitive. You know, I say it's brand spanking new. There's not much they've done with it. It's not had good track time or anything like that. So to come away from the first race with a podium, I think, yeah, understandably, Chris is happy, and as well the team. You should have seen the reaction as he drove past to go to the number 3 spot. The team were ecstatic. You know, really cheering super loud. So, you know, a fantastic result for them.
Yeah, I think they know that there's a lot more in that car for sure. A lot of other people were pretty impressive. I thought Lewis Brown's performance was special. He could have had and should have had a podium. That car looked a lot quicker than what it deserved, if I'm being honest, but he'll just be happy to finish 4th and collect a bit of silverware. And then just go from there. Hopefully he can get a better race now.
Yeah, exactly. He comes away with the Tom Walker Trophy at the end of the first race, and of course that brings some nice championship points to him as well for that one. But yeah, again, a solid. He really did show that he had some pace in that early stage of the race. I'm not actually quite sure what happened, the reason why he dropped back, but you know, it just shows that maybe if they can get that dialed in, he could come through again in this next race, and he could be a force to be reckoned with, which is going to be exciting, I think, to see what he can do. But yeah, Lewis Brown, definitely a driver to watch out for, I think.
Yeah. Looking forward to this race. This is going to be difficult. Brad Hutchison, we just had a quick word within the hospitality. He finished 10th, so he gets the reverse 10 grid pole.
Yep.
He ain't expecting a lot because he's got no top end. They think it may be turbo.
Yeah, something along those lines. I think he was talking a little bit about BOP as well. But, you know, going into it, yeah, I said to him, you're just going to have to make that Audi as wide as possible. And I think he said that, yeah, we're going to add a couple more rear fairing to them, to the car as well, to see if he can. But like you say, he's not hoping for much. I don't think he's going to. He said he's not going to try and pull away. It's just going to be a battle all the way to the end, I think.
Yeah. Jensen Brickley for me, starting P3. I think he'll be one to watch out for. He made a good start and finished the race. Really did what a rookie should. Did a great job. I think him and Joe Marshall, who's starting P4, I think they're going to be people to look out for, I would say. But Alex Lee needs to come away with a podium really for his championship to be kick-started.
Yes, definitely. You know, he had a really good end of the season last year as well, and like I say, he kind of got away with that race. He, a bit trouble-free, I think. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what he can do in this next one.
Yeah, Bradley Kent, he's someone who just missed out on that reverse grid, but I think he'll just be trying to get as many points as he can as well. that it's just always difficult starting in those positions because you're around people who are quick, but they can cause you a bit of aggro as well. So he won't want to be pinged off the side of the road. I'm thinking he's just going to try and get as many points as he can and finish somewhere in the top 6.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably going to try and just latch on to the guys in front, but that comes with the difficulty if you're trying to battle through maybe slower cars that are not on the same pace, and yeah, that could cause an issue.
Yeah, cool. Well, this next race is going to be an absolute belter, I am sure of it. But let's find out a bit more from Chris Smiley about his new Honda FL5 with Restart Racing.
Well, the Snetterton circuit looks a little bit different this Easter weekend than it did the last time we were here with TCR UK when we crowned our 5th series champion, and it was this man right here, Chris Smiley. And Chris, you're back again in 2023 to try and defend the title. I just want to take you back, though, if I can, to the end of last year. What a crazy final weekend that was. I bet it's taken you a few months just to get over it.
Yeah, well, I don't really think the last weekend was that crazy for us, to be honest. We just done all the right things right, and yeah, you know, everyone's seen the race now. It's obviously won the championship, but that's all in the past now. You know, it's a good thing to look back at, but now we're looking forward towards this year. You know, it's nothing ever sits still in motorsport. You always have to keep moving forward. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do at the moment. We've got the new car sitting in behind us here. It's yeah, it's last year's now done. This is this year. It was a fantastic day, you know, to win the championship and the circumstances that we won it in, with everything being so last minute. But yeah, as I said, it's all in the past now.
Speaking of last minute then, the new car, you mentioned it, it's a stunner, by the way, looks brilliant out on track. It just hasn't spent a lot of time out on track yet. You only just got hold of the car, right? Yeah,
well, I drove to Belgium last Wednesday to collect the car just after the media day. We literally done a 3 or 4 lap shakedown round Spa with the car. Brought the car back home again and went straight to the graphic guy to get all the stickers put on board. And yeah, we took it to Donington on Wednesday, which was a terrible day. It absolutely lashed down with rain all day. And we were only planning on doing 2 sessions in the afternoon because the car has a new steering wheel in it. It's got the latest, well, it's the latest car, but the steering wheel that they were testing the car with isn't the steering wheel that the car was being tested with. And
let it go.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paul O'Neill, Anthony Jordan alongside with me. TCR UK 2023, Snetterton, already had race 1. First of all, apologies for the technical issues you might have found on that last feature we were running. We're very sorry about that. Back to the racing. We talk about technical issues. There was a big technical issue, wasn't it? And that has changed the pole position sitter for the reverse top 10 grid race.
It has, yes. It's no longer Brad Hutchinson. He's personally not done anything wrong. It's someone else who's had an issue. But now we've got Alistair Camp starting on pole position. Well, I don't think anyone expected that, did they, for this one?
Well, not at all, no. So, yeah, so Scott Sumpton had a bit of a
Yeah.
a problem. Oh, I've heard it's
Tyre scanning.
Tyres, yeah.
Yeah.
So the tyres weren't marked. We don't know exactly what's happened there, but you have to mark the tyres for the races, so you can't put new ones on, things like that. It must have been an oversight, I'm assuming. If we do see Scott or someone from Restart, we can ask them. But yeah, that's the problem there. That means that Alistair Camp has got the absolute best chance ever to maybe get a podium. This is a big chance, isn't it?
Yeah, the Pro Alloys team, they're just a little further down in the pit lane. I've not really had a chance to speak to them about it, really, because we only found out about the change probably about 5 minutes ago. So, yeah, it was a big drama and a big change. So, I think, what can he do from there, do you reckon? Because, I mean, how did his first race go? He did pretty all right, didn't he?
Yeah, he was good. I mean, Alistair, like I say, I think that for me, personally, as a driver, I know how good he is because I've commentated on him in the Civic Cup. I think he will be hoping that he can get something, better out of this, and it's got to be a podium, really. He will be thinking, he's a racer, he'll be thinking, nothing else than a podium will do. But as we walk past the area guys, they had a great day so far. Josh Files and Bruce Winfield winning that race. I do think that this is going to be an interesting one because the track temp, the ambient temperature's cooled down now. They will be going away from the car being nervous because the track will be warmer, so the car is going to react to that. It's going to understeer a bit more, isn't it? These guys are ready to rock and roll, aren't they? So the two Hondas, the new Honda we've already spoken about, Chris Smiley in the FL5.
Yeah.
And also we've got the FK7 there of something. That's the car. Can I just quickly, I'm
Go
going
on,
to
go
try
on.
and have a word with Bert Taylor. Sorry to interrupt, but we're live, and David Mason, what a ledge. This race goes, David. Tell me this, what's gone on, mate? What a nightmare with Scott.
It wasn't a nightmare. There was new wheels come from Honda, and we had the wheels already built up for 28 wheels, obviously, for the cars. And when we swapped the wheels back over, 2 of his wheels was still on the new wheels. So, of course, when we swapped the wheels back over, 2 of them was non-registered. They were the right tyres, but they just wasn't registered because we'd used them once. So it was nobody's fault. It was my own fault, and we'll get on with it. Don't really think about it. You know that.
Yeah.
Plenty of other times for him, isn't there?
Exactly. No, we were just saying it's easy to have an oversight when you're rushing round, and it's not something you're not going to gain anything from that particular situation, are you?
No, of course not. And we've done it for a long time. We're not going to come here and say we did this or we didn't do that and we should have done this. We did it, and I made a mistake, and that's what it is. You can't change any of it. We've got to get on with it. Scott's happy. He's got himself into a position in that race. Would have probably gone home with probably one of his best results. But like you said, we're in a team together and we'll stick together. So you can't ask any more, can you?
Definitely. I definitely see a win for him somewhere along the year. So all the cars and teams are getting ready. We'll have a little wander up a bit further. But Chris Smiley just getting a little bit of a debrief for the last bit of his race prep.
Yeah.
What would he be expecting from this, do you think? He could really, to be fair, Chris Smiley could actually lead the championship if he gets a good result in this race, and that would be special. If he could just finish, actually, it would be pretty special.
It would be. I mean, he's in a good spot for this one. He's starting P8, so if you think where he started before, he was starting P4, wasn't he? Yeah, so, he's only double the positions he was for the last time, so he's got a bit of work ahead of him. But I think they'll have collected a lot of data from that first race. They'll have put that to work. They'll have put probably a new setup on the car as well. So I reckon I reckon we could see something big here for Chris Smiley. And like you say, he could come away with a race win. And I think there's a lot of drivers that could come away with a race win on this one. We were talking about the Audi of Joe Files.
Joe Marshall.
Joe Marshall, there we go. It's been a long day.
Too many J's, isn't there?
There is too many J's. Yeah, Marshall, we were thinking, the Audi, we could see a win from that because the Gen 2s are looking quick. They've shown what they can do. Granted, there's been a few technical difficulties with a couple of them, but, if we are going to see an Audi win, I reckon it's going to come from Joe.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about Brad Hutchison, who was on the pole, but obviously got then moved into second place because of the Sumpton issue.
Yes.
With Brad, they probably the guys at home probably seen what we were talking about with the top end of that engine power of that car.
Yeah.
He really doesn't. He's not looking forward to this, is he? I think we might see that Bondit Audi drop back, but you never know. Something could clear, and he could be okay.
He could do it. Yeah. I mean, he starts on the outside row now in P2, so he's got that difficulty as well of cutting across to try and protect the inside line going into turn 1. It's a long run down towards turn 1 as well, because you can see it here. It's a long way away, isn't it? And I think if he is struggling with that top end, or maybe even the getaway, yeah, he could just see himself getting swamped by the pack before they even get to turn 1. We're just not sure, are we? So we don't know how severe the issue is, but he said yesterday that he didn't really have an issue. He said the car was doing everything it needed to do. It just says the time wasn't there. So maybe they have found an issue, but they just can't put a finger on it yet.
And that's the problem, is when you've got a car like that and you've already done well round here, it's always a difficult one when you've got 2 long straights and you've done a bit of wet running. That problem's always masked, isn't it? So yeah, I'd be interested to see how he goes in that. But 2 long straights here, but also the wind has picked up.
Yes.
And that headwind is not going to help, because it's coming kind of from...
Well, I think, judging by the flags, it looks like more of a crosswind across the start-finish straight, maybe the back straight. So that could be an issue for the drivers, especially going around some of the corners here as well, because they are fast corners. If you think you're coming around the final sort of section here, you know, if you're flat out through that area and a big gust of wind comes along, it can really unsettle the cars, especially as some of them are going 3 wheels or 1 wheel up in the back of the car as well. So, you know, that can really unsettle the car already.
Yeah, very difficult. To be fair, they have quite a bit of aero on these cars.
They do.
Not massive amounts, but the balance can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I think what we will do, I think maybe there's been a red flag, I think, from the race before, so there might be a little bit of a delay. But I am seeing activity. Scott Sumpton is already in his car. I think Chris Smiley's getting ready to go in. So the guys will be leaving the pit lane, I'm sure, in a short while. So safety car's going on track to see if it's clear. So I think we'll be ready to rock and roll in a bit. We'll head over in a second, I think, to get out on the track, and we can have a little closer look and an inspection about what's going on. But I'm just interested to see what these how these drivers are now preparing for these races. It used to be, I could probably win from from 10th place or the reverse grid. If you won the first race, they used to be able to win the second, or they get the podium. Now it's like, Chris Smiley is thinking, I just need points. Because the drivers are so good now, it looks like that's the way.
Oh, so we did speak to Chris the other day, and he said that they are effectively, they're points hunting this weekend. And again, it's all just down to what they can do with the car. Like I say, every session is a new session, it's a new data, it's new stuff that they're collecting. And I just think the car's just going to get progressively quicker and quicker as the season goes on. So yeah, it's not, we've not seen the best of Chris Smiley so far this weekend, or definitely this year at all. So yeah, that car's definitely going to get faster. A little update for you. I got a text message. Race start been pushed back to 5:25. So that's about 8 minutes from now, I think. So we've got about 8 minutes until the race start.
That's interesting. So we need to get some grid walks in, which will be quite difficult in like 8 minutes, but we'll give it a go. It's 20 past now. I think these are going to be leaving here in a second. So maybe to jump this, shall we go and head up?
Maybe.
Let's go and have a walk
Let's
up.
go for a
we'll
walk.
We'll walk
shall
up. We'll get on the grid because we don't want to be in the line of everybody's sight as they're leaving the pit lane. So
I think we caught the cameraman off guard there a little bit, because we started walking really fast and then he nearly tripped over himself.
Yeah,
so
that's
I mean, that would have been a tough one to explain to the guys at Alpha Life if the cameraman fell over.
It's like the hardest job in the world.
It is.
There's so much
Imagine
trust.
Imagine walking backwards while staying in focus and in frame and everything like that. What a nightmare.
You were talking about, thank you very much, marshals, boys and girls all doing a fantastic job here as usual at Snetterton. How are you? You've looked after me all day, opening the gate for me. It should be me, shouldn't it, really, opening the gate as a gentleman?
I'm fine, thank you.
Is it a good old weekend for you guys? Yeah.
Nice big grids, that's what we like.
And the racing's been good. There's not been too many stoppages, is there?
Many stoppages now.
That's what we want, isn't it? But we'll let you go. Ant, what... if you're looking up here... As a driver for me, that you mentioned it, you said it's a long way. Mate, that is the longest run to the first corner I can think of.
even though we're standing up, while you might be able to see it, I can't actually see the apex for turn 1. There's a bit of a crest there. You might be able to.
There's a moving apex. What is that orange thing up there?
I think that's another Marshall, mate.
That was a moving apex board.
Moving apex boards? No, it's just cone. The straight here, though, it is a long one, isn't it? And I think this is where we're talking about some of the drivers who are struggling with that top end, like you say. And a crucial one as well is that final corner. How tricky have some of the drivers found that this weekend? You know, we've been talking to them about setup and, you know, what you can do differently going into that final corner. And I just feel, yeah, it's so crucial to get that one right, because you can be swamped by the entire field before you even get to turn 1, can't you?
Yeah, I think, you know, as a driver as well, with the last corner, because you're loaded up round a fast right-hander, you get the car slowed down, and if you are too fast in, if you lose 0.2 on the way up here, someone is going to be in your slipstream, and that's why it is so vital to get out of that last corner so easily. I think the interesting thing for me is the pole for here will be
here.
Is that what it is? Yeah,
it's right here.
Okay, so can we just show you this as a camera person before the cars come round? Can we get you over here so you can actually have an eye line, because you actually can't see anything?
No, you can't.
Literally, it'll be about here. So I think the driver will be sitting about here. You literally can't see anything. It just looks like a tree. No, and that's it. That is how far away it is. It's always difficult, isn't it, to say.
So that man in the shades is my new favourite Marshall. He just said it's a bit lower than that. I think he just wanted to see you try and squat, which would have been hilarious.
I am 43, so I'm not sitting on the grid. I'm getting a bit of grief today, actually. Everyone's giving me loads of grief. As you can hear, the cars are about to enter the circuit, which is lovely. And I'm just trying to see who's the first on the grid. There's an Audi Gen 2 coming up. I think that maybe it could be Gary Townsend, actually, in the 223. So the cars are moving. Chris Smiley takes the lead onto the green flag, or the dummy grid, and he'll be let out on track. And this is quite a long lap, to be fair. This is going to be a very quick turnaround. So I think what we'll do is we'll go and speak to some people who are setting up already. So if you want to follow us, and we'll make sure we look after you.
Yes.
Because the last thing you want to do is get run over. But yeah, it is. It's actually, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a quick question. We were speaking about Brad. He's a bit worried about his engine, isn't he? Top end, I know you don't want to say probably too much, but he was dead honest with us, and yeah, it's going to be hard work, isn't it?
It is going to be hard work for him, but obviously he's got the talent, and obviously money can't buy talent at the minute with this grid. So see what the Bob does, and hopefully, you know, there's not many people in front of him. So we'll go from there, see what happens.
Is he happy enough though?
More than happy. Big smile, always, as always.
You must be fit carrying that bottle around everywhere.
Always, got to be, haven't you? Got to be. You've seen him as well, pushing him back in and out all the time.
We need one of them, mate. Get our breath back.
Yeah.
Nice one. Good luck.
Hi, Dad.
I'm not your dad. There's a lot of...
how old are you? You could be.
Actually, yeah, no, to be fair, he's got a good point. If he's 25, I could be his dad. Lot of familiar faces coming to this TCR grid. It's starting to get very interesting, this championship. I've seen a lot of Honda Yas people are here, like some of the main players. And that guy there with the ginger beard is a good friend of mine. He's hiding his mullet. That's Josh Cook. I've got one of them jackets. They're quite expensive, but it's interesting, isn't it? I say familiar faces. There's a lot of people running around, and what we'll do is this lady here, this Marshall, she's just sorting out the grid for when they come round. So she's got a list of the grid and where they need to be. So she's just making sure that people line up in their boxes, which I think is quite interesting, because we never kind of see this kind of stuff. People just think that cars pull up to white lines and they guess or whatever, but there's a lot that goes on, isn't it, from the organisers?
Yeah,
the teams don't even know where they are sometimes.
Yeah, like you say, we're just on a start-finish straight. There are some numbers at the side which give you the row number that we're on. So we're currently on row 9 back here. So this would be 18th place, 17th
where I would
place.
qualify.
Yeah, about where you'd qualify. No, you wouldn't be that high up in the grid. You'd be about... Yeah, well, where would you be on this? Where would you position yourself on this grid? If you were racing in this one, yeah.
I'd probably be 10th because I'd have won the first race.
Give over.
Oh, no, to be fair. No, I'm pretty decent, mate.
Oh,
Look at this then. So they get it. They've been stopped in the pit lane.
Yeah.
They've been stopped in the pit lane. The red light. So the safety car went out, and the safety car has gone out, and it's obviously stopped everyone from. Here we go. Okay, they are now leaving the pit lane area. So there was a bit of a stoppage. They've obviously seen something, and they've had to stop people from going. But yeah, there's a lot of activity, and I'm sure everybody will be around in a second. But yeah, like I say, a lot of people kicking about, a lot of familiar faces, and it just shows, like I've said before, how the championship is really growing, because just people want to be involved in it, good engineers and such like.
It's a real shake-up, isn't it? And I think it has grown over its years. This is, well, I mean, we've said it for most years that, oh, this season's going to be the best season for TCR UK. This season is the best season so far for TCR UK. A absolutely packed grid. Hundreds of people here as well. You should have seen the grid walk earlier on if you did catch it at the start. There were hundreds and hundreds of people waiting to queue up to come and have a look at these cars close up, and it was just brilliant to see. You know, being back in the VRSEC paddock as well, you've got true racers here, you've got true sports fans as well, and you see them here. It's a shame we haven't got time for another actual grid walk today for the fans, but...
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. The one thing I will say is, though, the one person we do need to speak to, and when he gets up here, we'll go back up to pole position, is Alistair Camp, because I want to know his thoughts. He's been launched from 11th place onto pole position because of the Scott Sumpton miscommunication with the tyres. So let's go and have a little wander back up.
Yeah.
I bet you hate this, don't you?
Yeah, backwards and forwards. Oh, we're getting our steps in though today.
Yeah, I know, it's mental, absolutely mental.
Oh,
but yeah, everyone's looking like they are ready to rock and roll.
Nice sunglasses, sir.
Oh, very nice.
Just make him a bit embarrassed.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I've got second-hand embarrassment.
Have you?
No, only
What
kidding.
are you trying to say?
Nothing. That's for my mouth.
Oh, perfect.
Is that better? Watch me beard. How's he going to get on?
I hope they will.
He had a great pre-season.
Yeah, it was.
Alex Lee we're on about.
Yeah, better than we could ever hope for. And now we're Hyundai Junior Driver.
Which is amazing.
I know. Yeah, 18th birthday yesterday.
Yours?
Don't you know it? Aye.
Listen, on that note, we'll leave you to it. Good luck to him. Go around my neck. Dear me, I shouldn't have done that, should I? That's really hurt. He took my moustache off.
He took your tash off. It would have been a vast improvement, though, if he had.
Thanks, mate. That's
I
lovely.
know, you're welcome.
Actually, I want to know what... so, Mark Hunt here, who is an absolute ledge. Quickly, I just want a quick word. He'll hate this, by the way. Mark, just a couple of quick ones, mate. You're involved this weekend. How have you found it? It's mega, isn't it?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been really good. Organisation's been good. And, you know, see how this race goes.
Good start to the weekend, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not, you know, we've had a few car issues, a little bit of problems setting up and that, but we're getting there, I think.
OK, mate, listen, we will leave you to it because I know you're trying to get your man all marked up. But, no, it's great to see some proper people in this championship. As I say, if anyone knows anything about Clio Cup and setting up TCR cars, it's Mark Hunt and a few of his boys and girls that work with him as well. So, yes, the pole position is being guarded right there, and the cars are now making their way round. But, like I say, how would you think that Brad Hutchison or someone like that will take coming off the pole? I know he's only gone one step across, but it's a bit of a nightmare, that, isn't it?
It's a bit of a nightmare, but, you know, these guys... They're professional enough. They know what they need to do. And like you say, Brad, he's still happy. He's still starting on the front row. He's still got a clean run up in towards turn one. It's whether or not he can hold that going into turn one. This man here, though, I suspect, I don't know. Do you reckon mixed emotions? Happy, terrified, bit of both?
I would say terrified, and I would also, and I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, but I will say he probably does not want to speak to us too much, because this is a massive opportunity for him.
I think he already knows that we want to talk to him.
Yeah, this is a massive opportunity for him, and he's usually quite jovial.
Yeah,
but he looks a lot.
He looks a bit serious in there, doesn't he? Yeah.
Interesting. Josh Cook speaking to him there, just giving him a little bit of advice. People will know Josh Cook from another touring car championship. I know they work together at the Pro Alloys team. Yeah. Josh does a bit of driver coaching. So what I will do is I'm going to stick my nose in there.
Go on, you get your nose in there, mate.
Yeah, I'll go and ask a couple of questions. Let's just have a look. Hello, mate. I know it's probably a bit noisy in there and you don't want to speak to us, but I'm going to just drop this and I'll make sure it goes back on. What a turnaround, mate. You're on the pole.
I know, yeah. Mental. Loving it at the minute.
Bit different than Civic Cup, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Struggled a bit for pace this weekend in that, but no, I think it's done me well now, because we've been in this and I've not had to switch back to the semi-slicks again, so we're full slick again. And had some words of wisdom off Josh, so hopefully see what happens, eh? Like the lad said, no high expectations. We didn't expect to ever be here, so to be here is great for the team and everyone, so see what we can do.
Just enjoy it, mate. That's all it's about, Alistair. And I make sure that someone just puts this up for you. Josh, can I just ask you to put this back on for us, lad? Nice one. Spot on. Excellent. I don't think they're going to have a quick turnaround here because what they're doing is they're diagonally crossing the tyres to make sure that they've got heat in the rears, and then the fronts will go. Look, they've still got the stickers. They've got the stickers on the tyres here, so you can see they've come off the back, and that's why there's not much temperature in them, but the actual sticker is still on that. So the hot tyres now will be on the rear, and yeah, they're going to give that a real good go. It's going to be interesting to see this.
Yeah, and it's great to see that, of course, because every time we speak to a driver, a front-wheel drive car, it's nearly impossible to get heat into those rear tyres, isn't it? And yeah, definitely, I think swapping them around the best option for it. But, you know, Brad, like we were saying, we speak about him a lot. There he is. Do we want to have a quick chat with him?
You want to have a quick chat with him?
I want to have a quick chat with Brad.
Just see if you can do that, mate.
Because he's such a nice guy. If I see if I can get in here. Brad, if I can, just squeeze in. Mate, obviously, we thought you would be starting on pole. You've been pumped down to second place. Now, no fault of your own, but it's a long run down to turn 1. What's the plan?
Oh, the plan is to win the race. But we'll see. I mean, I've spoken to you before. I've moaned about Boff and the top end, but we'll give it all we've got. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, best of luck, mate. I'll leave you to it because you look like you're concentrating. Right, but like you say, happy chap to get ready to go. I think, where did Paul go? Oh, he's still over there. What's happening?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to go because they're getting on with this, and I think we're going to have to leave the pit.
He shouted in my ear, right? It was quite loud, it was.
Yeah, that's what happens, mate. It's always a bit of a nightmare. What we'll do, if you want to come to the side, because these cars are going to do launch starts, so let's get out of the way. Actually, we've got two proper fellas here, and you hate the fact we've come and seen you. What's your name and what do you do? Sound like Cilla Black.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Paul. I'm Chief Ops for the BRCC. But you know that anyway.
Oh, this is just for the viewers at home.
Yeah, okay.
What's your thoughts? I heard some really lovely comments from you before about TCR and how nice it was to see the fans getting involved with the car.
Yeah, I think that the new agreement that we've got for the next few years has given you know, just an additional shine to it, and I think there's a lot more people now going to look at it seriously, given we've got this program ahead. So yeah, it looks really good. Really excited.
Perfect. I'm just getting the hurry up and the go. So what we'll do, we're going to leave you to it. We're going to go to an ad break, and then we've got race 2 after this.
Let it go.
I'll grab them.
For voice and data solutions at speeds that are simply out of this world, choose Maximum Networks.
Welcome everyone then to the second race of the day for TCR UK here at Snetterton. Cars on the grid, ready for what could be an absolute thriller here. Andy McEwen and Paul O'Neill in the commentary box to talk you through what I think is going to be an action-packed race. We've got all the ingredients for a really, really entertaining race. That late addition, or amendment I should say, to the race one result, putting Alistair Camp on the pole position in his first weekend racing a TCR car. Brad Hutchison looking for his first victory in the championship. In fact, if you go down the grid, you have to go as far as 6th place Alex Lee to find a former race winner. There's a very good chance we could be adding another driver to the list of 21 race winners that we've had in the 5 and a bit years of TCR UK competition. Bruce Winfield claiming a hugely emotional race win earlier on this afternoon. That was a great feel-good story to take out of the day, and it might not be the last. Stage set then, grid cleared, green flag lap about to get underway. Paul O'Neill alongside me in the commentary box. I don't know what's going to happen here, do you?
I got a clue. Do you know, I'll be honest, I walked up and down that grid a bit, and the one thing I will say, I'm going to stick my neck on the line, and I'm going to say, I think we're going to see Joe Marshall at least get a podium, if not a win.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, because I think many people think he has been the fastest of the Gen 2 Audi drivers this weekend, apart from maybe Jack Constable, but he's been plagued with mechanical problems. Starting 4th, that is not a bad shout, Mr. O'Neill. Cars then starting their green flag lap. Let's show you how they line up. Top 10 finishers from race 1 are reversed, as is tradition with TCR UK. So Alistair Camp, former Civic Cup champion, gets on the pole position. Alongside him, Brad Hutchison in his second full season of racing, still hunting for that first race win. Jensen Brickley, the birthday boy, that would be a great story, wouldn't it, if he could get on the podium here today with Joe Marshall-Burks, Paul's tip for the win, starting 4th. Carl Baldley, one of the most impressive drivers in race 1, he will start 5th alongside Alex Lee, who did lots of winning last year. Didn't look like he had race-winning pace in the first race though. Let's see if he's got more in race 2. Lewis Brown's car looked good until the handling seemed to go away in the second half. Chris Smiley, meanwhile, debuted the new shape Honda with a podium. He will start 8th. Josh Files and Bruce Winfield, the area motorsport teammates who ran in formation throughout the duration of race 1. They'll have some overtaking to do this time from the 5th row, ahead of Bradley Kent, just missing out on what could have been a brilliant race 2 reverse grid pole, but he's definitely going to be in the fight in this one. Dan Kirby for company on row number 6. 7th row for Matthew Wilson. Gary Townsend in his Audi starts next, ahead of Darren Lewis, and Adam Shepherd, retirement in the earlier race, definitely should move forward as well. Steve Gales and George Jackson together on row number 9. Towards the back of the grid then, we've got Rick Kerry and Jack Constable, hopefully, if they've got that car sorted. Callum Newsham and Darrell Wilson are next, ahead of Oliver Cottam and Scott Sumpton, sent to the back of the grid after that eligibility issue with the tyres not marked after race number 1. So that's your 24-car grid. And Paul, I know you've been out there chatting to far more drivers than I've had the chance to today. Any stories, anything we need to know, perhaps about some of those who had trouble in race 1?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but the main one, which I spoke about on the grid, was Brad Hutchison in P2 in that Gen 1 Audi with the lights ablaze there with the yellow mirrors. He really, honestly, he just said, I want to finish because they think they might have a turbo issue. They've got no top-end speed, and it's been masked, I think, by the wet running they had in free practice. They really didn't know, and now they've run against other cars. They can see they've got a problem. But yeah, Alex Lee's dad was actually trying to put that massive long length of tape over my mouth when I was interviewing him, which was quite nice. But yeah, I said to them, listen, what's going on? You know, you guys, for me, I would say they were probably pre-season favourites. They were so fast. So Alex has not forgotten how to drive a car. I just think they just need to finish this race and maybe regroup and see what's going on.
It does seem like a lot of teams are struggling to find the right setup. There's something about Snetterton that is very different now from the last time they were running here, at least in the dry, in testing at the end of last year. Lots of drivers saying they're struggling with oversteer through the low-speed corners. What can you do then, setup-wise, to a TCR to try and combat that?
Well, you're always trying to look after the front tyres, so you will run the rear loose. But like you say, I think from what I've seen, a lot of people have been changing setups quite a lot. Adam Shepherd, for one, from what I've heard, they're changing setups. And the one thing you can do is you can raise and lower the rear ride height, so you can put what's called rake in the car, so the front end has more weight over it when it turns, so that means that the car is a bit more pointy, let's say. So there's different things you can do, but it's not just that. There's so many different settings on the dampers. You've got bump, you've got rebound, you've got differential settings. You know, you've got all sorts you could play with, and I think sometimes you can get lost in all that, and it's best to just go back to what you know. And if a car works, and that's why you see people like Restart Racing and Chris Smiley just doing what they need to, not going silly, getting the car home, and I expect him to have a fast car as well now, mate.
I think so. He will start from 8th on the grid. I noticed no Callum Newsham towards the back, unfortunately, so his mechanical issues mean he is a non-starter for race number 2, so that's a shame. A lot expected of Callum this weekend. It's not quite come to fruition. Place your bats again, everyone, then. Race 2 for TCR UK at Snetterton. Alistair Camp, Brad Hutchison, row number 1. Jensen Brickley and Joe Marshall-Burks together on the second row. Lights out, away they go. And Alistair Camp gets a decent start, but here comes Joe Marshall, the traction of the Audi, but there's nowhere to go. The road is blocked in front of him, and 2 by 2 they will run to the first corner. Camp on the left, Hutchison right round the outside, has got the lead, but Marshall-Burks is late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes, slides out wide. Lewis Brown delayed as well, and it will be Hutchison. Low power on, and that's Smiley. Chris Smiley, the reigning champ, in the barriers, back across the road, miraculously avoided by everybody, but that shiny new Civic is not quite as shiny anymore, and that could be his day done. But Brad Hutchison leads the way after a terrific start. Chris Smiley going no further.
There's nothing wrong with the power in that Audi. I know Campy didn't get the best of start from pole, and he's struggling now, isn't he? Look at all this going on. Big move from Joe Marshall, and this is it. If he gets past him for second place, I think he could win this.
Oh, and look at Josh Files coming with him, though. Josh Files, arguably quickest driver in race 1, is right there too. Brad Kent is out on the dirt. Adam Shepherd was up the inside and through on him. Marshall-Burks second then, down to 4th for Alistair Camp, that was, with Files coming through. There is Alex Lee. Oh, Chris Smiley trying to get a polystyrene marker board out from under the car. He's going nowhere, and the yellow flags are out. Josh Files up the inside of Joe Marshall-Burks, but the safety car's been scrambled. Did that happen under safety car flags? We can't see a marshal's post from there to tell you for sure, but now it looks like they're slowing down, so Josh Files, to be safe, may give that place back. He temporarily is up into second position, and the race is neutralised with Chris Smiley's car stranded at the side of the road. That is kind of what we expect, really, for a reverse grid start, Paul. Everyone trying to get to the same piece of track through turn 1. Sometimes contact is inevitable.
Yeah, definitely, and I didn't actually see the contact, if there was any, from Chris Smiley. I don't know if you've seen any. I just seen his car rotating in the middle of the corner, maybe cold tyres, and that from the Marshall means we need a lift for that car. This could take a little bit of time. We're going to have a flatbed truck come on, and we're going to get that FL5 Honda lifted on the back of a recovery truck, so a bit longer a stoppage than you can see the recovery. Here it is now, so they're going to put that on the back of the truck, and yeah, that is the international sign for, mate, it's destroyed, it needs to go on the back of a truck. Devoed, actually, for those guys, because they just wanted to finish this race.
And their whole thing was consistency last year. It was consistency that won Chris Smiley a championship in 2022. And that's the one thing he said he wanted out of this weekend, was 2 race finishes. Get some mileage on the car, get some points in the bank, because he didn't think that they were really scratching the surface speed-wise of what that car is truly capable of doing. And a non-finish now is not going to help his hopes of retaining the championship. So lap 1 then ends under safety car. Brad Hutchison is your leader. Josh Files, though, 9th on the grid to 2nd in the opening lap. He has not given that place back to Joe Marshall-Burks, incidentally, so clearly he feels there were no yellow flags out at the moment that he passed him. Joe Marshall-Burks down in 3rd ahead of Alistair Camp and Lewis Brown. What a start from Files, though.
Yeah, what a start that was. Was a fantastic, I mean, that's the difference between driving TCR cars around the world, different tracks at different temperatures and experience, to someone who's, you know, not too used to front wheel drive. Just got on with it and got past and didn't have any problems. But yeah, I would love to know if there was a yellow, because I would have expected the yellow to be maybe through Hamilton, which is the fast left-hander, and we've seen it 2 corners later. Is Chris Smiley looking for someone that turned him round, or is he just looking to get in the... He's getting across, isn't he? He wants to go and see the car, maybe so it doesn't get dragged around.
Callum Newsham is on track. Oh, so missed the start, but he's out there. Is he a lap down? Timing screen says that he started from the pit lane, we're being told.
Well, that is pretty phenomenal, because that was a new gearbox from Anthony Williams up the road, who runs in the other touring car tin top championship, and that was helped out by Stuart Lyons apparently, and yeah, they went and got a gearbox. It was the only one they could find, so wow. they've got out, and that's a story that in itself, because yeah, to change a gearbox in something like that is and to find one,
yes,
is difficult.
Yes,
yeah.
And he's on the lead lap as well, so once we do go racing, should be able to pick up a few points. There's Jack Constable, good to see he is out there, so I think we were only missing one, hopefully, at the... in fact, we had all 24. All 24 were out there for the start. Of course, we've now lost our reigning champion, Chris Smiley. The good news is the car doesn't look too badly damaged. I think the main issue was that the polystyrene was stuck underneath it. That's now the second polystyrene board that's been destroyed from that part of the track, and Chris Smiley's car unceremoniously dragged out of the way, but we should hopefully be able to go racing at the end of this lap, because the cars are only halfway round this lap, and as far as I can tell, the track is now clear. What are we expecting here then, Paul? I know that Brad Hutchison's been telling you that the car's down on power. He doesn't really expect to win. He won't now be fancying his chances, I guess, with the two cars that are immediately behind it. But Joe Marshall-Burks is going to want to snap back at Josh Files here if he has a chance.
Yeah, listen, you only have to talk to Joe to know in P3 at the minute that he ain't here to mess around, and that car is fast. I've driven these TCR cars enough to know that the Audi Gen 2 is a fantastic car, and yeah, he's not a bad driver, is Joe, so I expect him to put the pressure on, and why not? But let's see what happens. Let's forget about the overtake that may have happened under a yellow. We don't know that for sure, but it was definitely yellow on our screens for a long time, and then he was, there you go, safety car lights are out, and it's time to rock and roll.
Here we go then. So just the one lap of interruption, still 19 minutes left on the clock then, and Brad Hutchison, well, if he is down on power, he needs to try and get a really good restart here, otherwise Josh Files will be all over him into the first corner. Brad has come on leaps and bounds, it must be said, in the first season of TCR competition he did last year. Got himself a podium midway through the season, and now wants to try and get his first race victory. He might not fancy his chances, but give a racing driver the race lead, and they will try and defend it for as long as they can. Out of Murray's he goes, keeps them all bunched up still. He's not yet accelerated. Now he goes, but Josh Files is way too smart for that and stays right on his rear bumper as they accelerate to the line. No passing until they cross the line right now. Actually, not a terrible restart in the end for Hutchison, and as they head towards Rich's corner, for some reason, Josh Files dropping down the timing order. He's got a dodgy transponder, but he's very much still there in second place. And Brad Hutchison with a few car lengths advantage for the time being. Here comes Lewis Brown looking to the inside of Alistair Camp for fourth place. And Bruce Winfield with a lovely dive up the inside of Jensen Brickley. And Adam Shepherd comes right with him.
Oh, something off that, isn't it?
Yep. Out wide through turn one, bounces back on. There is Shepherd up alongside Jensen Brickley, perhaps struggling a little bit on cold tyres here, although Jensen's had a year of racing on slick tyres in the Ford Fiesta ST240 Championship last year, which he was very successful in. Here comes Files to the outside of Hutchison for the lead. Needs to be careful not to open the door, though, for Joe Marshall, who peeks to the inside line. So Brad is going to defend this lead if he can, and the more he does, the more opportunity this presents for the third place man.
I will guarantee you one thing, and that one thing is that Josh Files will battle harder with the car in front of him than he did with his teammate, and Brad here is just going to have a night.
A snatch of a break from the race leader, and somehow they're all still in the same order they were going into the corner. Alex Lee is in the back of this group in sixth as well, and this is a group that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger with every turn that Hutchison defends at. Up the inside looks Files, and Brad closes the door again.
Yeah, I think that Josh has got to be careful here. Look at it, round the outside. That's not going to work, is it? If this comes off, that is a brilliant manoeuvre. Joe Marshall. Oh, wow, mate. I don't know if it's done yet, but Hutchison will be looking in his mirror thinking, thanks for that, mate. Can he get through? You've got to be careful here. He might turn himself round, but the Elantra's still there. This will be awesome round turn one.
Oh, Lewis Brown is pushing Josh Files into turn one. NASCAR style goes up the inside of all of them. Marshall-Burks drop back. Contact. Brown sideways. Files sideways. Camp in the mix. Marshall up the curb. 3 wide towards the hairpin. And somehow it may still be the Audi that comes out of this in second place. What? They are all over each other at the start of lap number 4. Touring car racing at its best. And Joe Marshall is into second.
That was excellent from the Rob Boston driver. Absolutely stunning stuff from Joe Marshall. That move alone has got to be one of the best things I've seen around Snetterton in a front-wheel drive car. That was super special.
Alex Lee is fourth as well. He really benefited from all of that. Lewis Brown down to 5th position. Good battle going on further back as well. I'm not sure who that was getting squeezed onto the grass, but this is a proper revenge first grid race. Ali Camp, unfortunately, got shuffled out of that, and now there's a bit of leaning on each other there. Adam Shepherd getting involved with someone. This was the move, Paul.
What a move. Down the inside, a right rear lock-in on Marshall's car. Josh Files is wise to it and thinks, I'm not having that, mate. He runs over track limits, which is okay if it's another car you're battling against. But the big squeeze then comes from Joe Marshall, but it just doesn't come off for him. But then he gets the job done at the inside of the hairpin. It went on for a long time, and that looked like it went on for a long time as well. No thanks on that corner.
Not the first time we've seen Kirby on the grass. Here comes Marshall for the lead now. Audi
Yes,
Gen 2 on Gen 1, and he has got it sideways. No! Joe Marshall off over the curb, and Hutchison's back through. Unbelievable. Joe Marshall Burks, for a brief moment, had the lead, but too late on the brakes, and it's so easy to do that there. Now Files is on the inside of Brad Hutchison, but still there's no way through.
Go on, Bradders. Look at that. Round the outside. He's had it done to him. He's all the way around the outside. Files for the lead. Gets it done. That was better than the move that was put on him.
What a classy bit of driving that was from both drivers to leave each other space, and finally Josh Files from 9th on the grid leads the way, but Lewis Brown is coming with him, and Lewis Brown is on the pace this weekend. If they've got the rear of that Cooper settle, he's trying to go around the outside of the Audi towards Rich's corner, and that opens the door for Alex Lee. He's up the curb on the inside line, and the Hutchison train now starts to build up once again, down into the braking zone. Lee on the inside, and that's Carl Boardley.
Where's he come from? He's round the outside of 6 million people. Hutchison is looking like he's slowing. No, he's still going. Cars off, left, right and centre. Oh, Boardley on the grass. Hutchison still in third. Somehow Alex Lee trying to get past him now. And this is an epic. Lewis Brown, scalded cat. There, another scalded cat. Gary Townsend having a nightmare today.
Yeah, Gary Townsend off at the Wilson hairpin. So, 2 cars now released from behind Brad Hutchison. Alex Lee and Bruce Winfield will want to get on with this. We know Winfield is quick. We know Lee is quick. And they'll both want to try and chase after those leading 2. Files leads the way. Brown second. Hutchison third. Lee fourth. Winfield fifth. As they head towards Oggies, is Lee going up the inside? Yes, he is. And that is a typical Alex Lee move. It was clean. It was decisive. It was committed. And if he doesn't run too wide, it should be into third.
Yeah, and he's brought Winfield with him as well in the 37. So Hutchison really struggling. It looks like that car didn't have a problem with the top speed, but now it looks like it's having a nightmare. Boardley looks rapid. He'll be loving this.
What a revelation. I spoke to Carl Boardley on Saturday morning. He was the grumpiest man at the track, and I bet he's got a smile on his face now. He's up the inside of Hutchison, and he has gone through. So Hutchison down into 6th place now. The next man behind him is Alistair Camp, and Bradley Kent was going up the inside of Adam Shepherd as well in the background. So Brad Kent, who's got the fastest lap, is inside the top 10 for the first time all day. There is Bruce Winfield, championship leader, of course, after that opening race. And he'll already be starting to think about this now. He's fought his way through the worst of the traffic, and now he's up against another driver with whom he'll be expecting to fight for the championship. This could be a big battle.
Yep, and it's not over yet. We think the dust has settled on all of that, but I think Winfield fancies a bit of Lee, and I'll tell you who else fancies a bit of this, Carl Boardley, because Carl Boardley in that white car, third shot now, that white car that is behind Bruce Winfield looks rapid.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? The new shape Cupras finally appearing right at the sharp end of a TCR UK grid. Carl Boardley on the attack. I mean, they're all just on top of each other. Oh dear, that is Joe Marshall, isn't it? Recovering from his spin. He could still end up in the top 10 here at this rate because they're all still together. He's ducking and diving behind Jensen Brickley. He's on the grass again, going down towards Palmer's, and has to back out of that because there simply wasn't the space. But Joe Marshall crossed the line in 12th position at the start of that lap, and he's flashing the lights at Jensen Brickley as he tries to dig himself back up the order.
There's a warning shot just been fired, and that's Josh Files going 9/10 quicker than Lewis Brown for the fastest lap. But Lewis Brown just put in a purple sector, which means that's best of anybody by 3/10. So the tyres are coming in and they're switching on, and Lewis Brown looks phenomenally fast.
Yeah, he was 3/10 quicker in Sector 1 alone there than Josh Files, and that's pretty impressive stuff. Out wide goes Dan Kirby. Is he on the grass again? Not quite this time, but he does fall behind Jensen Brickley there. Joe Marshall will now try to do the same to him, heading down into Brundle and Nelson. Another purple middle sector here for Lewis Brown, although Josh Files' transponder isn't working, I must say. Lewis Brown going quickly, and we'll find out at the end of the lap if that gap that was 1.3 seconds is starting to come down. Now Kirby's on the grass, coming out of Nelson. Welcome back to TCR UK, Dan Kirby. It's been a rough ride for him today, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't be turning across the front of Darrell Wilson. I think we just I think we've just nearly seen the back end of that car catching itself up. Joe Marshall, I'm devoed for him. I don't really know if it was contact that he had that turned him around, but the car rotated on the way into the S's, didn't it?
Oh, speaking of rotation, through Corham and into Murray's corner, they are just snapping sideways, left, right and centre. New fastest lap, Lewis Brown, 2/10 quicker than the leader. Now, Lewis was quick for the first half of race 1. The question really, Paul, is whether he can maintain this over the full 25 minutes, because the handle really went off that car at the end of race 1.
Yeah, and there's Alistair Camp back in it. He's down the inside of Hutchison. Shepherd fancies a bit of that as well, and Brad just slipping down the order, and he had the right go, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he... Oh, my word, it turned him round. Nearly. Brad Hutchison, I've got to give it to him. He got great coverage for Bondit, his sponsor, so he didn't roll over straight away, did he? Fair play.
No, not at all. He really put up a good fight in a car that clearly isn't performing as well as he would like, but proving that the Mark 1 Gen 1 Audi can still be a competitive package. Lewis Brown in Sector 1 is 2/10 quicker again than Josh Files. He's within a second of the race leader now. This is interesting.
I'd be surprised if Josh Files didn't win this, I must say, But Lewis Brown, I've driven against Lewis Brown in a front-wheel drive championship, and Lewis is one of the very good drivers. So I know how good he is, and if anyone can hand it, then it'll be him.
Brad Hutchison out onto the Bentley straight. He is now in 8th position, but Adam Shepherd looking to try and do something about that. Shepherd will be really disappointed not to be taking more points out of Snetterton, and will want to try and finish as well as he can in this one. Alex Lee hops and skips over the curb at the complex as Josh Files puts in a purple middle sector. So now starting to retaliate a bit and respond to the incoming threat from Lewis Brown. This is Carl Boardley versus Bradley Kent. That's a fight you'd buy a ticket for, isn't it, Paul? And it's for 5th position.
Yeah, that I don't think we've seen the best of the Veloster, have we? And we're seeing some good moves being pulled off. Another person who has come from the back of the grid and just wants to score points.
Absolutely needs to score points, really, because Brad is another driver we expect to be fighting for the title this season. Fastest lap of the race, identical lap times set by Josh Files and Lewis Brown. So Lewis Brown is very much a match for the race leader. To the thousandth of a second, they set the same lap time. Adam Shepherd to the outside of Brad Hutchison, and that is who else but Joe Marshall. He is turning into Mr. Excitement, isn't he?
Just a bit. Is he going to do Hutchison around the outside? There's Gen 1 versus Gen 2. So the red and white car is the newer of the two. Look at that, the traction of that new Audi just drives round. That's nothing to do with engine power, that's just setup and newness.
It says a lot that Joe Marshall is driving that car so sideways, because it's a very hard car to get sideways, it seems. It's got so much grip and so much traction, and yet he is driving it like it's a rally car. They're all sort of bunching up here behind Alistair Camp a little bit, who is still holding on, sort of quietly going about his business in 7th position, but he runs wide out of Agostini. Up the inside will go Adam Shepherd, and Hamilton, the former Civic racer, goes past the current Civic racer to take 7th place.
And Joe Marshall ain't messing around now. he can't be bothered. He just really cannot be bothered with anyone in front of him. Look, he's just driving alongside them as if they're not there. Look at that right rear locking and rotating, and the car just gets fired out and away it goes. And Campy learning that you need a lot more testing if you're going to come up against these real fast kids.
Here's the fight for 3rd. Bruce Winfield reeling in Alex Lee slightly on this lap as more purple sectors are being pumped in by Lewis Brown, by the way, so that lead battle is not going away just yet. This, though, the fight for 3rd. Area Motorsport teammates. Alex Lee a little disappointed, maybe, with his 5th place finish in the opening race. Bruce Winfield, our first race winner, and these two cars virtually identical. It's a slightly facelifted version of the i30 that Bruce Winfield is at the wheel of. Right now, though, I think their main concern is Bradley Kent, who has got ahead of Carl Boardley and is now starting to reel these two in pretty quickly.
He just took 4. No, he's not. He's... They're just battling. The two leaders are just firing in the same lap times now. So I think Josh Files is obviously just controlling this, even though Lewis Brown has got the fastest lap.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's controlling it, but they're both going very quickly. That was a 57.564 for Brown, who's fastest lap. Fastest lap earlier on for Files, 57.7. So they are going 2/10 quicker than they were in race 1. Bit cooler now for race 2, I'll grant you. But I also think they're spurring each other on. There they are. Lewis Brown, bits hanging off the left front corner. But that car, at this stage of the race in race 1, was not going this quickly compared to the others.
That looks closer than what it says on the timing screen to me. if I was Lewis Brown, I'd be like, we're all right here. But knowing Josh Files, I know that he will be controlling this. He will be. He doesn't look under pressure. He's not running wide. But Lewis Brown, I've got to say, he was devoed about not being on the podium before. Look, he's pushing on now. He's missed the apex. So yeah, he really is wringing the neck of that car, and I don't think that Josh is, because he keeps hitting the apexes.
We were robbed of this at the end of last year. Lewis was entered into the final round, had a mechanical issue in testing, wasn't able to race, and kept us all guessing over the winter as to how competitive he was going to be. The answer, very competitive. It looks as though a podium finish at the very least is going his way. Now, Bradley Kent deserves a lot more than a 5th place finish out of this race. If he could get onto the podium, that might start to make up a little bit for his disqualification from qualifying yesterday. To do that, though, he has to pass the race 1 winner, Bruce Winfield, and then chase off after Alex Lee. But the late race pace of the Veloster looks as strong as anyone else out there, really, which wasn't always the case in 2022. They brought in a new engineer to the Essex and Kent Motorsport team for this season, and Brad has said that's made the world of difference, really. They found a setup that works on the car. He, we know, is a super talented young driver, and as he now tries to chase after Bruce Winfield, he's running out of time, but he might just have the pace to steal a podium before the flag is out. Through Riches they will go. Kent out wide. The body language of that Veloster says full attack.
Full send, isn't it? Look how good it is on the brakes.
Yeah.
It really is a mighty... Look at that! The traction and the braking spot on. I think what the letdown for that car is, by the looks of it, is the top speed. It's quite a wide car, isn't it? So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Indeed so. Out of Palmer's then, down towards Agostini they go, into the closing stages of what's been a very, very exciting second race of the weekend for TCR UK, as Bruce Winfield tries to hold on to 4th position. And Bradley Kent charges after him. Carl Bordley still 6th, Shepherd 7th, Joe Marshall 8th, 9th place Ali Camp. So a top 10 for Alistair would be a really good pair of results, whilst Jensen Brickley completes the top 10.
I tell you, the sectors that some of these guys are firing in, they're going green and purple with 3 minutes to go. So that shows how much they're learning about the cars on the hop and how much the track is rubbering in, like you alluded to. But it been, what's gone? Oh, it's really close.
That ain't 1.3 seconds now. The middle sector for Josh Files has not been very good, and Lewis Brown was right on his tail then as they went through the complex, so we'll catch them again at the end of the lap, I'm sure. There they are. Definitely not 1.3 seconds now. A mistake for Josh Files, that's rare.
It is rare. That is... Oh, he's having a nightmare. He's having a real nightmare. That car very oversteery on the exit of Coram. And now Lewis Brown has given us a grandstand finish. He's catching up. He's going to have to defend into the first corner. And this is going to have to be a dummy. And this is going to be a really good end. Round the outside won't work, will it? Can he get down and get the switch back underneath him? He just doesn't seem to have the front end. Oh, big lockup. No,
it's the engine.
The engine's blown. Gone.
Oh, unbelievable. The engine on the Elantra blows, and Lewis Brown leads in his 2nd ever TCR UK race. What a heartbreak for Josh Files. His race is done.
The oil that will be on the track is going to cause chaos. Chaos down at Wilson's. I will be surprised if nobody goes off on that oil. What a disaster for Josh Files.
That is awful. Not his car either, of course. He's been loaned this car for this weekend, and the engine's let go, and he must have been feeling that for the last half a lap or so. The pace deteriorated. Oh, Lewis, don't throw it away now. You've got a 7-second lead over Alex Lee, who is 2nd, and Bruce Winfield 3rd. Lewis Brown giving himself and us a bit of a heart-stopping moment.
Yellow flags down at Wilson's. I think there's oil around the track from it blowing, because that's why Lewis down at the 2nd hairpin had no rear. So I think hopefully everybody gets round, but when they come down here, they're going to see that it's a bit slippier than usual.
You could see it, I think, or was that cement dust from
a previous race?
Yeah.
And yeah, Oliver Cottam there just coming out of that shot sideways as well across the grass, and Campy still involved. 1 minute to go, but what drama!
Unbelievable. Lewis Brown, who, in fairness, we could say he's inheriting this race win. He has driven the doors off that Cupra just to stay with Josh Files until this point. There is Josh looking at the engine and directing the Marshall to the fire that perhaps is still there.
Let's talk about first place, though, because was Winfield ahead of Ley?
No, Lee's been ahead of Bruce for a while. It was Brad, wasn't it, on the tail of Winfield, I think. So yeah, Winfield hasn't lost any ground, but he has fallen away from Alex, I've noticed, over the last few moments. Last lap board is out.
Wow.
Lewis Brown is 3 miles away from claiming victory in only his second ever start in the championship.
Oh, wow. Well, this will be a long last lap for Lewis. I'll tell you what, he does not want to outbrake himself on that oil down at the hairpin. That's one thing that'll be on his mind. Look at this.
Constable into the side of Darrell Wilson. Jack Constable got it all wrong. He tried the Joe Marshall move, but didn't get the car pulled up in time. And the luckless Darrell Wilson, who would have been really enjoying being in that fight, is unceremoniously dumped out of it.
That is a massive hit, that. I wonder if there is any oil down there as well. But look at this side-by-side. Cotton, who's been in the wars in the first race, he's now going to have Darren Lewis all over him because he's had to check up at the apex. Lots of oil around the circuit. I'm surprised no more cars went off, to be fair, but everyone getting round there, and the marshals I did see had the flags out very quickly, so the drivers were warned.
What was that you were just saying about the track getting grippier at the end of the day? I think all of that grip has well and truly gone now, with perhaps some fluid down on the track. Alistair Camp, meanwhile, under threat here from a resurgent Brad Hutchison. That's for 9th position. They've both been passed by Jensen Brickley in the recent past, but Brad Hutchison now gets himself back into P9 on the final lap, whilst Callum Newsham, by the way, is 11th, having missed the initial start of the race. Scott Sumpton's going rally crossing out of Agostini as the battles rage on down the order. George Jackson there coming out of the final turn. He's obviously had some issues because he's a long way back from where he should be. Lewis Brown, though, is heading out of the S's for the final time. The checkered flag awaits for the really likeable youngster moving in from Mini Challenge in the beginning of the season. And Lewis Brown out of Coram Corner. One more turn to go. Don't overdrive it. Don't lose the rear. Don't hit the curb too hard. And a race victory, as well as £750, is about to go the way of Lewis Brown. Out of the final turn he comes. He will see the checkered flag, and he will win round number 2 of the TCR UK Championship for 2023. What a drive.
Wow, what a drive. And we've got to come up with a driver of the day as well. So, but look at the rest of them across the Alex Lee, 2nd, Bruce Winfield, 3rd, Bradley Ken will be happy with 4th, won't he? And Carl Bordley, great result for him in 5th. But Lewis Brown, you deserve all the plaudits, my man, because that was a masterful drive.
I'm going to put a punt out on driver of the day for Bruce Winfield. He won race 1, podium in race 2, just for the emotional value of that race 1 win, and he's probably going to be the championship leader leaving Snetterton.
I'm with you, mate. I'll see you in a sec.
Awesome stuff. Paul O'Neill will head to conduct the podium ceremonies for what was a very, very good second round of the TCR UK Championship. What a performance that was from Lewis Brown. As I said, he inherited the win because of the mechanical failure on Josh Files' car, but he was within a second of Josh anyway. Anybody who can match the pace that was being set by Josh Files in that race deserves a race win when the opportunity is handed to them, and Lewis Brown will be absolutely delighted with that. I spoke to him on Friday afternoon after they'd been pounding around here for a full day of pre-event testing, and he really wasn't particularly confident in the handling of the car. He hadn't got the setup right, he wasn't confident in the rear of it, really struggling for grip, and wasn't honestly expecting all that much from the weekend. But then in qualifying, he was every bit as fast as Josh Files, just couldn't quite hook up a clean and traffic-free lap. There, in race 2, he broke through to 2nd, he chased down Josh Files and showed us exactly how quick he can be. And I'm getting real Isaac Smith vibes from Lewis Brown. Not a driver that many people were mentioning as a championship contender coming into the season, but I really think that he could be when he gets to Brands Hatch at season's end. There are bits of TCR car waiting to be collected as souvenirs by the marshals at the end of what is the final race of the day here at Snetterton, and it was well worth sticking around for. What fantastic entertainment, and the race victory will go the way of Lewis Brown. So, provisionally then, Lewis Brown becomes the 22nd different race winner in TCR UK history, with Alex Lee 2nd and Bruce Winfield claiming another podium. That moves him now to joint 3rd in the all-time podium list with one Dan Lloyd. Brad Kent 4th with Carl Bordley. A really impressive day that for Carl Bordley. Adam Shepherd 6th, Joe Marshall-Burke 7th, but what a spectacular race that was. Jensen Brickley was 8th ahead of Brad Hutchison, and Alistair Camp completing the top 10. 2 10th place finishes on his debut. Callum Newsham from the pit lane was 11th. Dan Kirby, despite spending half the race on the grass, managed to finish in 12th. Scott Sumpton 13th, and Oliver Cottam gets to the finish this time in 14th place. 15th goes the way of Darren Lewis. Matthew Wilson was 16th ahead of Jack Constable. Rick Kerry, Darryl Wilson and Gary Townsend complete the top 20. So Darryl Wilson did get to the flag despite that collision with Jack Constable. George Jackson, Steve Gales were the last of the finishers, with Josh Files the only official non-finisher. But of course that's because Chris Smiley didn't complete the opening lap, and that really is one of the big news stories to come out of this race. The reigning champion with, I believe, his first ever non-finish in TCR UK. Such has been Chris Smiley's brilliant track record in the past, and unfortunately that comes to an end here today. So that was race number 2 of the TCR UK Championship. A reminder that this is the first of 7 events this year in TCR UK, and the championship will rumble on now to Croft on the 6th and 7th of May, before heading to Alton Park in June, Knock Hill in Scotland in July, Silverstone in August, Donington Park in September, and it all finishes at the Brands Hatch Formula Ford Festival on the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit in October. Lewis Brown, though, comes down into the pit lane, and it's going to be another emotional celebration, I suspect, and down there to catch all of the atmosphere is Paul O'Neill.
Lewis Brown can't even get out of the car. He's even got his radio in, still stuck in. You are a TCR UK race winner, my man. I'll let you take your helmet off and your hands. Absolutely made up for you. We thought that Josh Files was actually just trying to get around the track and wind you up. Do you want to put one of these on? Get that on your head before I get told off. It's got a piece of cardboard in it, but it doesn't matter. Well done, mate.
What a race. Well, I don't even know what happened. I went to 5th at one point, and I was back up to 2nd, and yeah, I felt sorry for Josh, because that was like, I could see he had a bit of a problem. He was driving really well, like, do you know what I mean? He's a world-class driver, and Josh got proven himself, so yeah. But yeah, no, to get a win, do you know what I mean? First weekend in the car, like, yeah, seems to be going the right way, doesn't it?
I bet you couldn't believe you look when you seen that smoke. I mean, did you know he had a problem? Because it looked like there was a bit of fluid down the lap before.
Well, I was speaking to him actually in the paddock a few days ago, and I said that engine's smoking a little. He went, yeah. So then when he started slowing down, I thought he's got either his tyres have gone off or he's got a major issue at the minute. So yeah, no, it was I was lucky because I thought I was going to collect him when it went. I was on his outside at turn 1, wasn't I? So it was like heart-stopping moment. So yeah, it's brilliant though. Yeah, huge thanks to the team, Maha, Alan Stein, everyone for support, Neil for everything. So this is just a start.
It's good, mate. Do you know what? Made up for you, fella, because I know how hard you work, so good for you.
Thank you.
Oh, Tom Walker, Memorial Trophy winner as well. So you're Twin Peaks, mate. I'm sure Tom, if he was around, would be very, very pleased for you, mate. Well done. Top man. Top man. I'm so excited. Right. Where's Alex gone? Where's Alex? Alex, have you got new overalls?
It's coming in 2 days.
His overalls, I was like, I couldn't even see him, like, looking round. It's like he's just in a sea of people. Alex, mate, you must be made up with that, because it's been a difficult weekend. I had you down for, like, winning every single race in TCR.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this weekend. Yeah, it's really good race, really good weekend, strong points. Qualifying was good, race 1 was good, and now this race, so really nice to end my 18th birthday weekend with a podium, so really happy.
Good for you, mate. What happens now? What happens now? Do we go to the next round and you just try and qualify and be right at the front? Because you've made it hard for yourself, but you've really come of age, mate, because you know how fast you are, and sometimes it can be a problem where you qualify badly and you can just lose your head, but you looked like a proper man today, mate. It was good to see.
Yeah, I think we... yeah.
I do the funnies round here, not your family.
No, I just need like 6 more weekends like this, and then hopefully it'll give me a good shot for the championship.
Top man. Right, I'm going to leave you to it, because Brucey Winfield's going to get interviewed. He's had a good weekend, hasn't he? I think you're going to be battling with him, aren't you, for the championship?
I think so, yeah, and Lewis Brown as well. So.
Oh, don't worry about Lewis, he's small, no one likes him. Nice one, well done. Right, follow me. Where is he? Is he around? Did I give you 2 hats?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Have you got the other one?
My dad's got it.
Oh, can I nick that? Cheers. It's not yours, actually. You could just have one. Right, where's Brucey Winfield? Here he is. Mate, do you want to pop that hat on? Thanks. You've had a good weekend, haven't you? Like, do you want to give someone else a go on the podium?
Not really. We'll take them all year long, won't we? Yeah, definitely. Obviously, P1, P3, and P2 in qualifying. Yeah, it's couldn't have got much better. Obviously, gutted for Josh, man. He drove great. Obviously, got up to like P2 before the safety car, within like a lap or two, whatever it was. He drove great, so yeah, I'm gutted for Josh to not be up here, but yeah.
How hard was it to get round turn 2 and 3 with, well, turn 1 and 2 when all that oil went down? Because I honestly thought it was going to be carnage, but it seemed like everyone just dealt with it. Marshall's had the flags out.
Yeah, the oil through turn 2 was pretty bad. My biggest concern was the amount of people hitting each other through turn 1 and 2 straight off the start. There was, yeah.
Absolute carnage.
I stayed out of all of it, luckily, yeah. I think we're all right, but yeah, I just kind of stayed back and like, bided my time and waited to pick them off kind of thing, so.
Did you see what happened with Chris Smiley?
No, I got past him off the start, so I was past him through turn 1, so he was behind me at the time, so I don't know what happened.
Well, not your concern. Championship looks on, just onwards and upwards, mate. It's as if someone's been looking out for you this weekend, boss.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He's here, mate, he's here. So yeah, carry on like that would be in good shape, won't we?
Top man, well done, well
Thank
done.
you.
I'll let you enjoy the podium celebrations, well done. Right, we need to find Carl Boardley. Let's have a look and let me see if he is down there. He's miles down here, so, oh, here he is. Look at him, see that fella there with that hat on? You just take your time, Carl. You just take your time, mate. You just take your time. I'm going to proper have him now. Carl Boardley, second time he's won the Goodyear Diamond Trophy, which is awesome. Carl, take your time, mate. No problem. We'll just wait for you. No problem. Get here. Well done, mate. I tell you what, I know you. The Goodyear Golden Globe Award, the Goodyear Diamond Trophy is amazing, but that was more like what you've signed up for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely what we signed up for. Made a few little adjustments to the car and then all of a sudden it started to come alive. So, yeah, it didn't really work for me at the start. I sort of got trapped in. I got a good start, got trapped in behind a couple and I'm sort of giving them a little bit of a heave-ho and then, yeah, then came out of that, the safety car, 6th or 7th or something like that. But a bit of damage on the front of the car as well. So, you know, to get home with a big vibration that we had is good and more points again. So, yeah, and that's exactly what we signed up for. Elbows out and have a bit of fun.
It looked like you were a proper driver then, mate, which I know you are, so that was good. I'm going to let you crack on with the podium celebrations. The one thing I will do is, I think I'll put this hat on to stop my fringe flapping around. So the podium is about to happen. Look how many people are here. The cars look great. Everyone looks great. Even you look great, sir. Amazing, and so do I. Listen, it's been fantastic. We've loved it. From everybody here at Snetterton, we'll see you next time out. It's awesome. It's been TCR UK 2023.
What a classy move.
That was a classy move.
The championship leader is in the gravel trap.
Neil sends him off and it's a kick of dirt on the out.